Sorry for the delay, folks. We'll call the council meeting together at 1:41 of the October 23rd, 2014 meeting. We'll move to item 1, roll call. Machine is open for roll call. Thank you. Let the record reflect there are 8 sitting council members. Ms. Cooper is absent. We will dispense with the prayer and the pledge. We will move to item 7K. Ms. Barber, could you read out 7K, please?
I can read them now. This one's not.
Go ahead. 7K.
Discussion regarding the water, sewer, and garbage rate study.
Councilman Gui, you have someone here to speak.
I would like to turn this item over to Director Burris for explanation and follow through, please.
Thank you, Councilman Gui. As the council, I'm sure remembers a couple weeks back, you all authorized us to go ahead and proceed with the water, sewer, and solid waste rate study. So since that time, we've been working with UtiliWorks, that's the consultant, and they're here today to give us a small presentation. Ms. Nicole Nassan. Essentially what we're here to do today is to kind of give a broad overview of where we are. We're not into the nitty-gritty. The last several weeks we've been handing over all of our data from finance, from the water department, from Severn and Trent, and also from my office. So today we're going to kind of get a big picture of the data that was collected and sort of a macro analysis. And then what we're going to do after today's council meeting, I'm going to sit down with them and we're going to go over several options. Obviously, the hard part of this is going to be figuring out what the rate structure needs to be in the future. So that's what we're going to be working on after today's meeting. We will try to have an introduction before the council at the next meeting and obviously get with you all to discuss what our various options are in any other public meetings that you all request. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Nicole Nassan, and once again, she's with UtiliWorks. And I'd like to go ahead and compliment them. In my time in government, this is one of the best consultants I've worked with to date. So,
thank you.
Okay. Can you give us your name for the record?
Yes, Nicole Nassan. It's spelled Nicolenaassan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you very much for that introduction. Once again, my name is Nicole Nassan. I'm with UtiliWorks Consulting. And the reason we are here today is to brief the council and the public on our engagement to conduct a rate study for the water, sewer, and solid waste utilities for Plaquemines Parish. I just have a few slides I'm going to go through with you just to give you a good general overview and to take you through some of our kind of preliminary findings and where we're at to date. And again, the slides are actually up on the board here in case you want to take a look. So quickly, our agenda, we're going to go through our engagement summary, give you an idea of kind of your current state of affairs when it comes to customer and consumption distribution, levels of consumption, et cetera. Also, your current and what we see to be your projected financial situation. Comparison, your peer comparison. What are other parishes doing, and how do you compare to them today? Then we'll step you through a little bit of our methodology and our approach and how we do rate studies, and then take you through a few next steps. Here is a highlight. Basically what it is we have about 6 primary tasks we're engaged in. Without going into too much detail, there's a lot of words right there, but going through data collection effort, looking at the revenue requirement, understanding the allocation of revenues between the 3 utilities, then at that point, this is effectively where we are at this stage. Then going into the rate design, if there's a need to make any sort of changes or discuss or present any sort of alternatives to what you currently have today. Also, that has to do with the levels of the rates. Then we will produce a report for you, as well as obviously this presentation and future presentations to the council and to management. So just a picture today of where you're at as Plaquemines Parish. You have approximately 8,900 water customers as of 2013. Sewer customers approximately 6,800, and solid waste about 8,400. That's the numbers as they stand. It's split between residential, commercial, and the parish government. And commercial also includes the industrial class. Now, in terms of consumption, the parish produces and supplies approximately 1.3 billion gallons of water to your residents and your businesses. You then take back and process about 555 million gallons of wastewater and also manage and taking in about 274 million tons of solid waste. So quite an operation, quite an effort, requires a lot of investment, upkeep, and operating maintenance. Okay. So again, wanted to walk through what we're seeing so far in terms of the numbers and the analysis that we've been doing. So projected revenues versus costs, and this is effectively what we're here to do, is to try to understand and explain where you are today in terms of the revenues that you're taking in versus the costs that it takes to actually maintain and upkeep the system that you're managing. So the general fund, just to give you an idea of where you're coming from, it's been necessary in 2012 and 2013 to transfer money from the general fund at the level of $5 million and $4.1 million respectively to the utilities so that they can maintain and operate on a day-to-day basis. So as we projected this, and we'll get into a little bit of the details of some of the assumptions that we're making, but what we're seeing is annual losses on an annual basis of more than 35% over the next 10 years. So what we'd like to really drive home here is what that translates to is approximately $52 million over that 10-year time frame that has to be borrowed from the general fund. And I don't think that borrowed is more like it's got to be transferred. That money will need to be moved into the utility so that they can maintain and operate. Solid waste is separate, so it may not be as dramatic as what you saw for water and sewer, but you're still going to find the need to also transfer money from the general fund over the next 10-year time frame of amount of about $2.4 million. In terms of a peer comparison, you will see on the left-hand side Plaquemines Parish down near the bottom, and in terms of the tiered rate on the right-hand side, I'll talk through this in a little bit more detail, is Plaquemines is at the very bottom. So one thing I'd like to point out is there has not been an adjustment to rates since, I believe, 1978. And that is approximately, I think it was 36 years I calculated. So as you all well know, that a lot has changed in that time frame. So there is a definite need to address this issue. And in terms of the average bill that your customers are paying today for water, and again, this is for water, with the assumption of 8,000 gallons of consumption, your customers are paying $19. And relative to other utilities, you can see above you St. Bernard Parish at 24, St. Charles at 25, upwards to St. John Parish of 39. Now, on the right-hand side is a rate comparison, and that rate represents like the first tier rate that your customers pay for water, and as well as other neighboring parishes. So as you can see, that first rate, which is right above the minimum charge, again, without going into too much detail, you're at $2. And upwards, Ascension Parish is up at $5.34. And again, this is just to represent that in waiting for such a large time frame, there's definitely, you obviously need an adjustment. An adjustment is absolutely necessary, and other parishes around you have already recognized that and been able to adjust accordingly. Okay. So to talk a little bit about our methodology, this is a pretty standard methodology when it comes to performing a rate study, whether it's electric, gas, water, sewer, et cetera. So what we start off is determine our assumptions, establish the revenue requirement, how much money is needed to be taken in order to cover costs. Then how do you allocate those costs between the utilities? And lastly, then how do you design the rates to make sure you recover the revenue necessary in a fair and equitable manner across your customer base? So that effectively goes through and probably touches on each one of those bullet points below. So, but our approach, one thing I do want to make sure you're aware of is we are utilizing standard rate approach methodology. So it's pretty standard. You can find it very easily. American Water Works Association is a standard for water rate development, and then Water Environment Federation for wastewater. Real quick, just going over some of the assumptions that we've already developed, and this has been in concert with working with the folks at the utility. Annual growth rates for customers and consumption through our forecast period is about 1%. Then in terms of costs, there we also applied a growth rate for these different personal, financial, and operating services of ranging from 1.5 to 2% in terms of growth for costs. And then income actually coming in, so revenue that comes in other than rates, in this case is an ad valorem tax. We're seeing that also it'll follow the trend of about 2% growth per year. At the end of the day, what we've established as the target would be for your net operating reserve. So at the end of the day, revenues less costs, you end up in a positive, with basically a positive balance. For water and sewer, our target by year 10 is $300,000, that in the black, and solid waste of $150,000. So again, just reiterating, is what we're looking at is a 10-year study period. Okay? So going into a little bit of detail on the revenue requirement, how we built this up, what we did is we looked at history. We wanted to get an idea where you're coming from. So established the historical basis for both O&M and capital costs for 2012 and 2013. We also reviewed budgeted expenditures from the 2014 and the 2015 budget to see where you're looking to make investments and where other maybe operating costs are coming up that we're not aware of from history. Then also identifying future capital investment and what's going to be necessary to meet debt service requirements over that time frame. And at the end of the day, the whole intent there is to make sure, once again, you're forecasting revenues to cover your costs. So what we are aware of at this time is, at a minimum, Plaquemines Parish is going to obviously need to invest in utility infrastructure. And as it stands, they're looking to invest about $18 million in water system upgrades over the next 2 years, and are also interested in establishing a $1 million capital reserve for annual updates necessary on the system. Also looking to make an investment of $5 million in sewer system upgrades. Same goes with having that $1 million in capital reserves for annual updates. And solid waste is looking at current time budgeted annually about $575,000 to cover costs for the solid waste. Cover costs actually, and also I should say more investment versus covering costs. Item below, one thing we also obviously need to take in consideration is other revenues coming in. So we're not going to charge customers for those elements that are actually being covered somewhere else. So I know there are grant opportunities. I know loans are coming in. So we make sure that that's offset in terms of what ultimately goes into the rate setting. Okay. So then the cost allocation, what we're looking to do here is you have water and sewer happen to be in one account, so we want to make sure that we're allocating the costs between those two services. So what we assumed is we're splitting those equally. Solid waste is independent, so we don't need to worry about that. It's one account, so all stands, all goes to solid waste. Then in terms of the capital cost and future debt service, this is another thing we're going to analyze. The best methodology here as to whether what gets allocated to sewer versus water, and yet again, solid waste, it'll be standalone. So again, this gets back to how we're going to allocate costs between the different utilities. Okay, and thank you. So the last item on there is rate design, and here what we understand the overarching goals here is to ensure that the rate adjustment, the rate revision, is to reduce the dependence of Plaquemines utility on the parish's general fund, and to also be able to create that operating reserve. And so to that end, our study will explore the benefits and feasibility of gradual increases to the minimum bill over the next 3 years. So we're not going to recommend that you immediately increase rates to the level that you actually need them to be at to cover costs. Basically do a gradual incline over 3 years of not only the minimum bill, that minimum bill amount, but also the actual water rates themselves, water and sewer rates themselves. Then we're also looking to potentially apply higher increases to rates at higher levels of consumption. Again, these are things we're working through at this time. We're going to be working with the utility to make that determination. And then, as I said before, the end game is to combine $450,000 of reserve at the end of 10 years. Okay, there should be one more. So our next steps is to model the impacts of these various rate designs and various rate levels across different levels of consumption, and to make the determination of how much each customer class is going to pay, so that we can bring this information back to you so you can review it and see, again, working with the utility so we can see what kind of an impact this would have. Then we'll ultimately select the optimal rate design for each one of the three services, and with the end goal is making sure that revenue requirements are covered. and also, of course, creating that reserve target. And so our next step is to present a final recommendation to the council at the November 13th council meeting. And that ends my
Thank you.
prepared comments or my prepared presentation, and I'd be happy to pass it back.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. That was exactly what I felt we were looking for.
Excellent.
I'm looking at the time frame, and I understand the council changes January 1. That's a reality that we have no control over. The thing that I feel is missing is public comment.
Okay.
The individuals who are going to be impacted the most, if they have no understanding of why we're in the situation we're in now and how we can come out of it, then logically they cannot make a recommendation as to whether they support or do not support.
Okay.
So as part of the plan, and again, I understand the time frame that we're under, I think it is absolutely critical that everyone who is interested in knowing would have an opportunity to attend a public hearing, to be able to digest
Absolutely.
and see that this is not being done haphazardly. This is done with scientific methodology, and it's simply balancing one of our checkbooks to say if we spend $1, we should receive $1, and we spend $1, not we receive $1 and spend $3. If that's not done, I don't see any progress whatsoever taking place either in this council or the next council. So somehow that has to be brought into play. And we have a meeting December whatever. We've got
November 13th,
November
December 11th.
and December 11th. So just those are my comments, and we can take it from there. And
I'm pretty confident with all the data that we
No, wait, go ahead.
Go ahead, Randy, finish.
I'm pretty confident with all the data we've collected. Like you said, we're kind of moving at lightning speed here, but I'm pretty confident that that data is collected and it more or less has been analyzed and can be available to the public. My goal or my thinking was that we, over the next 2 weeks, have an ordinance and go ahead and have it introduced. Okay, and we all know at the last meeting you all can amend that ordinance to whatever. So in between the next 2 weeks, we get together, come up with 3 or 4 good options, or what we think are the best options.
Correct, yeah.
Meet with you all individually and publish whatever you like in the Gazette and have a public hearing. That way, by the time the last council meeting is there, you will have heard from your constituents. You will have had time to review the data and be able to make a vote if you so choose to vote. The numbers really are what they are. So. I don't think it's anything. It's nothing really complicated. So, but yeah, I can work with them, and I think that we can give the public a clear picture of where we are, and if we don't make these adjustments, what the effect is going to be on the budgets going forward. And you all see that in the budget that was presented you today. How tight things are.
well, I think that just one other comment. I think with the support we're getting from CMA. That will generate some public interest, and the Plaquemines Gazette. If they don't get with you, get with them, as to some basic information. And what it'll do is start conversation.
Excellent.
And so those are 2 avenues that will give us immediate public information, and then we can work on any other avenues from there.
And the only other comment I make is what is factored into this is a lot of the capital improvement work that I've been before the council the last couple of meetings requesting large money to comply with DHH regulations, and that's going to continue. And what this plan factors in are those capital improvements that are needed. So I think in 10 years from now, if we can adopt something, we'll be in a real good place. We'll have a lot of capital investment have made, and we'll have the budget balanced.
Mr. Marinovich?
Yes, ma'am. I might not captured this, but did we look at, I know we're looking at some UV treatments, the I don't know if I didn't pronounce this correctly, the chloroseptin or whatever it was we were looking at, the chemicals. Did we configure all these things into our rate increases to see that those things would be covered? Did we look at all of that?
we did not include the existing monies that have been appropriated that are in the capital budget. We did not factor that in because those monies are available. So what we projected was going forward. So any capital projects that have not been budgeted, that's what the projections we use. So if it's in the budget now, it's paid for.
It's paid for.
It's
yes.
paid for.
But like future chemical purchases, y'all going to factor that in, and also any future modifications or construction.
I've built in more than enough capital to get us where we need to be, based on previous years' capital needs.
Thank you, Mayor.
You good? Mr. Turner?
Your last slide, the 450,000
Yes.
Reserves in the next 10 years. Explain that to me.
Basically, what we're attempting to do is, as you could see, actually, if you could go back a little further up, one more. Okay. The attempt here is to try to fill that gap and then apply an incremental amount. That incremental amount is that $450,000. Where I'd stated that is $300,000 that would be in the water fund. So basically, revenues less costs would equal $300,000 at the end of the year. And then for solid waste, it would be, the end is basically revenues less costs would be at $150,000. So here, as you're seeing, you're running a percentage loss every year throughout the time period to 2024. Our intent would be able to fill that gap and then add that whatever that slight incremental percentage would be that equates to $450,000 across the three utilities. Does that make sense?
I need a little time to digest it.
Okay, it's ultimately it's taking that percentage loss to zero plus having a little bit of a positive.
I think what you're saying is that after the 10 years, the goal is to have a little surplus.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly right.
Have a
that's
little,
a better way of putting it.
To have a little... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No. So there's going to be a surplus at the end of 10 years.
That
so
is
the
exactly.
$5 million and the $4.1 million, we're looking to somehow pass that on to the consumers.
That $5 million and $4.1 million was the amount that needed to be borrowed from the general fund by the utility to cover costs.
And therefore, let me ask the question again.
Sure.
Is that what we're looking to pass on to the communities?
In terms of actually rolling that up into rates so that ratepayers have to ultimately end up paying that, I would say yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's coming from somewhere. Right now it's coming from the general fund, which I'm assuming some of that already comes from your residents and businesses. And then this will be basically pay for the service that's being provided in terms of what it costs to provide that service.
In the 18 million, the 5 million, I think it was a slide towards the end. It was
Okay.
a different slide. I didn't write down the name of the
That would
slide,
be-
but it's
yeah,
where you
that's
had the
the,
18
investment.
million
Keep going. One
further,
more. Go. Keep going.
right
Yes.
there.
That's it.
Was that included, those increases? Were those numbers factored into the overall cost?
Yeah, well, the debt service associated with those capital, what we're assuming is you'll borrow money effectively for those investments. And so whatever debt service is required to pay on an annual basis, that has been factored in, yes.
So in addition to the $5 million a year, the $5 million loss right now, then we'd be adjusting the rates to factor this cost in it also?
That is correct. I think that's,
I'm good.
if my brain is working right, if the wheels are turning, I think
You
that's
might need some time to digest it.
understood.
Okay. But we'll have time to talk. I'd like a
Absolutely, yeah.
copy of the PowerPoint
Yeah,
presentation.
you guys will receive a copy, and obviously plenty of conversations can happen to make sure there's any clarification that needs to be provided.
Thank you.
You
bet.
good, Mr.? Anyone else from the table? Audience?
Warren Lawrence, Myrtle Grove. This is my bailiwick. I retired from the Sewage and Water Board. I've been through many rate studies. First thing I don't see on here is how much water we produce and what do we meter out and what is that loss to water. And where is that loss? Is it from bad meters? Is it from leaks, flushing? Where is that water differential? You know, we stood at 40% in the city. and they have wasted a lot of water through leaks, but then we found stolen water, we found dead meters. We went from 40 to 28%. And before we did the rate study, we had to know where the water was going. And that's the first thing. You know, I don't see a production. If I'm an oil company and I'm producing so much out of my plant, and I'm selling that water, and they don't match, I want to know where that loss is in between. What is the production capacity out of all our water treatment plants? What do we produce, and what do we collect for? And what is that percentage difference? I do thank Mr. Gui. This is something that a public hearing is needed on. Every potential person coming on, whether it's a president or anything else, we've been talking about this for over 2 years since I've been coming to this meeting. And now we're in almost the last 6 weeks of what's going on in this parish, and you want to put a 10-year burden on the new people coming in. If we waited for 6 to 8 years to do the study, or 10 years or 20 years, what is the big handicap on having public hearings? I know I'll be at the public hearings, and I think a lot of other people should take notice, because you can't even tell me who gets free water in this parish. And when you can't tell me who gets free water, at the water board we stopped all the public schools from getting free water. We put them on a cap. We had schools using more than the Hilton Hotel. But when they don't pay for water, they don't conserve water. We don't know what the usage, who is being billed, who's not being billed. And I'm just with Mr. Gui. This needs to be, take your time into it, have public hearings. I know Mr. Bureau says we got a deadline. That deadline has been pending for the 8 years I've been coming here. So I just ask that you slow down, have public hearings, let us come back and look at this study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Turner, do we have
To the Ms. Nicole,
Nicole?
would you come to the podium, please? Some of the things that Mr. Lawrence mentioned, will you be able to identify some of those things in this study with the information that you're gathering?
Well, at this point, I'm sure we could probably identify some that wasn't necessarily within the scope of what we were tasked to do, but not to say that we can't take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
The rates were based on what existing usages there were. The company actually also brought to our attention that, you know, something we may want to consider is electronic meter reading, and so that we can be more effective in our collections. But ST, I'm confident that with ST, this was sort of a macro approach from her firm, but I'm confident with ST that we can figure out, I know that we know how much we use, and what the consumers use. I mean, those numbers can easily be identified. But my understanding and my discussions with ST over the course of many months is that we're pretty much right at the borderline for usage. So to the extent that other industrial persons or corporations want to come in, we don't have enough water to give to them. So we're practically telling them, go to the river and find your own source of water. So we are pretty much at max usage, and that's why I've been before the council several times to increase the capacity here at Belchase. But so that's kind of my answer and my response. But any figures that we can get from ST will certainly be available to any public hearings we have. And any questions, specific questions that you all have, or the council, please feel free to email me, and I'll try to get you those numbers.
Hold on, Ms. Nicole. We have a Robert Morgan. Can you come up? Mr. Turner has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Just state your name for the record.
Robert Morgan, 7 Trent.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, you've heard the comments and questions that Mr. Warren Lawrence asked, and you heard the response from Mr. Beerus that ST should be able to assist or provide information, is how I took it. Will you act on the request that Mr. Lawrence raised? One, do we have any gaps? You're managing our water, right, as Severn Trent?
Yes, sir.
Well, then you should be able to tell us if there are any gaps. The very questions that Mr. Lawrence asked, I'm asking ST to provide this council with that information, and you can get the questions from Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Any other questions? You have a question?
Lois Lejeune, I just want the council to bear in mind that this is so long overdue, it's unbelievable. Prior to 1978, I was with the Waterworks for 30 years. Prior to 1978, we evaluated the water every 5 years, and we give a 20% rate increase, 20 cents. And right now, your water bill for the average person that is bare minimum is $9.30. That's with 4,000 gallons to begin with, before they raise the rate. So this is so long overdue. We should have did this probably 20 years ago. And we've always operated on a deficit as far as the water end of it goes. The sewer picked up a little bit of the water, okay? But then they got in a bind too. But it's unbelievable that we paid these low interest rates, or fees rather, for all this time. So this is, I'd just like to say this is well long overdue.
Thank you, Ms. Lejeune. Mr. Turner?
Ms. Nicole, is that, Ms. Lejeune mentioned that the average rate is $9. I thought
That would be the
I
average.
thought it was 19, or is it $9? Did I miss it? Is that the average?
What I have up here, the assumption that we were using was 8,000 gallons. If you could possibly get back.
What
I
she's
thought the
talking about
slide-
is the minimum rate that customers are chosen.
The minimum.
Okay.
The minimum charge.
All
I
right, she said
apologize.
average,
Yeah.
and so I just wanted to make sure, because I thought I saw the chart.
That's quite all right.
That's the minimum bill people get, but the average bill is.
I thought it said
I mean, you
about
have to factor in all the commercial, industrial
I
uses.
thought
as
she
well.
said it was 19. I just wanted to make sure that I heard correctly. Your average, but think about it, your average can't be $9 if
No,
you're-
the residential.
Wait. Even for residential, just simple math, if your minimum is $9, your average can't be $9.
No, the minimum
Is $9.
the minimum is
Minimum charge.
$9.
Right.
So despite, within a certain
When you
amount
factor in industrial, commercial, and agricultural that we have in this parish, the average bill was, we said 14 or 19?
19.
19. Okay.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Residential, I'm sorry, residential average.
Okay, all right. We good, Mr. Turner?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one closing.
Okay, Mr. Gui?
Just to close out, the information I think was very helpful that we presented. The water loss thing I think is something that I know that Mr. Morgan and I discussed that. We would address that, and he had several recommendations for that. The one area that I am going to recommend when we meet is that once we balance this out, and whether it's this council, the next council, whenever it is, once it's balanced, I would like to see an index placed on the rates so that future councils don't have to deal with this. That whatever index you use on a yearly basis, bi-yearly, however, because if not, it could be another 20 years before it's addressed again. So if it's built in, I think we'll take a lot of heartache from some future council members.
What we're looking at now is they're going to go ahead. Their recommendation is going to be to get us where we need to be in 10 years, and then at the end of that 10-year period, the CPI can
Right.
take effect, and going forward,
Correct.
the adjustments can be made accordingly.
Right.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. We will now move, since we're in the 7, we move to item 7A, introductions on resolution wherein suspension is being sought. There was something that came to our attention today, and I want to seek a suspension on the presentation of the 2015 budget book. And if there's no objection, Mr. Turner? No objection. Mr. Marinovich? There's no objection from Any council members? And I'll make a motion. Second by Mr. Gui. That we got to vote on it. The machine is open. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Turner. Yeah, the vote is 7-0 with a verbal from Mr. Turner. Ms. Acosta has a brief statement with the. Go ahead, Ms. Acosta.
The administration is pleased to present to the Parish Council the 2015 proposed operating budget and the 5-year capital budget. As you review this budget during the next few weeks, please contact my office with any questions or suggestions. This will facilitate efficient and effective budget hearings. We look forward to working with the Parish Council to review this proposed budget for adoption prior to the start of the 2015 fiscal year.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
We good? Any questions? Nope. Audience? Thank you. We will also be seeking a suspension from Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffin, you have it in front of you?
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask for suspension of the rules.
I'd like to seek a suspension. Is you have a copy,
Yes,
or
sir.
you had just this one?
Let me just pass it out to
You have
everybody.
copies?
This suspension is going to ask us to give Mr. Nungas authorization
Wait.
to move the
Hey,
present.
hold on. Let me give everybody one.
Okay.
Yeah, let me give her. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Turner, can you give her one? Oh, I'm sorry. You're seeking the suspension. Go ahead, Mr. On. A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president to move the East Point LaHash post office from its current location to 223 Edema Lane, Point LaHash, Louisiana 70082, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That is the
Suspension.
wait. Offering the suspension. Do I have? I need a second. A second. We'll vote on the suspension. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Mr. Gui seconded. You want to vote on it? And the suspension fails?
No.
We got a no vote from Mr. Turner?
I think we discussed this in the past, didn't we?
Yeah, that isn't a failure of the suspension.
I don't think so.
We don't.
According to the state, the suspension has to be unanimous.
Point of order. I'm going to ask Mr. Rathburn, does it have to be unanimous, state suspension?
No, sir, we've already gone through that once before. It does not, the rule, it is not required for unanimity. It has to be a supermajority that votes on the suspension.
Is that state law?
Sir?
Is that state law? Because this is a state issue. What I'm saying, it's a state issue. The state says that it has to be unanimous. And so are you quoting a state law?
No,
Or do you know what the state law says?
I disagree that it has to be unanimous. That's what I can tell you.
Okay. Do you know what the state says on it? Because the state says it has to be unanimous.
How does that
And I
apply?
believe that the state supersedes local government.
Well, if you could cite me to that, Mr. Turner, I might look at that state law on that, but I'm unaware that the state requires unanimity to suspend the rule.
I don't have it here in front of me, but I know it has come up before. If I would have known, I thought you knew the state law and was ignoring it, is what I thought. But you're saying you don't know that there's a state law that says that it has to be unanimous. Because under the previous council, Mr. Gu, everybody in the previous council, we made that decision because of state law. The council didn't come up with this, and so if no one is aware of that today, that surprises me.
I guess what I can tell you, Mr. Turner, is we've had this discussion before.
And I disagreed with you.
Right, and I will reassert what I said before, and you can still do so.
And so my question is, do you know what the state law says and if it's in violation of the state law. If you don't even know what it says, then you can't say if it's in violation or not.
Well, that's like me asking you, if it does violate it, could you tell me where we're talking about, Mr. Turner? And you apparently...
And I can, given the time, I can, but do you even know if it does, is what I'm saying.
Mr. Turner,
Because I can definitively tell you that I do know.
What I can tell you is, I have done the research on this, and this is the first time that I realized you wanted to know what the state law says on this. I can tell you that it is legal to do so without a unanimous vote. That's my legal opinion.
Mr. Chairman, according to the state law, it's required a unanimous, how are you going to call point of order when I'm asking the man a question?
Go ahead, Mr. Turner. Go ahead and finish. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, according to the state law, it requires a unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I believe I'm going to side with Mr. Rathburn on this. If it doesn't have to be unanimous, we're going to move forward. So,
Thank you, sir.
just a minute.
We voted on the suspension.
We voted on a suspension. We voted on a suspension already. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Russo.
Benny Roussel, 1012 Epsilon Street. We have had this discussion before, and at the last time we had the discussion, the council wisely chose not to move forward because, in my opinion, it is a violation of the open meetings law. And I would suggest that your council look at the open meetings law for any action to be suspended, the rules to be suspended, and action taken before a public body. You have to have a unanimous consent. And I would suggest that that be looked at. And the advice that you don't have to follow the state law, I disagree with.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Mr. Rathburn?
Kurt, if I may.
Wait just a minute. Wait, he asked to speak. Hold on.
Can anybody cite the state law is what I'm asking.
Mr. Marinovich, what I would like to do is, I happen to bring the open meetings law with me. If I could have this deferred for 5 minutes, set aside for 5 minutes, I'll read it and come back to the council on this. Because apparently there's some disagreement, but I do believe I'm correct on this.
Okay. You want to take a recess or just pass over?
Just pass over for 5 minutes, if you don't mind. I don't want to hold up the council's business.
Okay. We'll pass over this resolution. Are we ready for executive session? Leo, we ready for executive session? Huh? Okay, okay, hold on. We need Ken. We're going to pass over executive session right now. Let Ken. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's a good idea. Hold on. We will move to item 7F. Okay.
Public meeting regarding the rezoning of and map change for Louisiana LNG Energy LLC. Application number ZMP-2014-109, Bohemia/Point-a-la-Hash area.
All right. Do we have someone in the audience to speak about it?
Yes, sir, we do.
Mr., come on to the microphone, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Captain Thomas Burgess. I'm with Louisiana LNG Energy. I have a presentation which may be helpful. I have a jump drive I could easily put on the computer, but quite frankly...
Do you have handouts to give us?
I do, sir.
Okay, and that would be sufficient. Can you, somebody grab them from? Yeah. No, I can see. I'm sorry. Could you say your name one more time?
My name is Burgess, Burgess.
Okay.
Thomas
Thank you.
Burgess.
Tommy Burgess.
I introduced myself as I have a Coast Guard license as captain. I was a ship captain here on the river, and I manage fleets of ships here on the river as far up as Baton Rouge, in fact.
Okay. Now, we have the literature in front of us. Can you?
Okay, so thank you again for your time. We're here asking the council to change the zoning on our property from an agricultural zone to an industrial zone. We have intention to build an energy terminal to liquefy natural gas for use both as a power generation fuel and as for a domestic transportation fuel, hopefully here on the river in tugboats, in towboats, in trucks. The benefits of that transportation fuel is to lower the emissions from diesel engines in this area and provide a cleaner burning fuel for the surrounding areas. So just as a brief introduction, and I will note that I have Mr. Rick Kubel from Loch Lord. Loch Lord helps us with all of our permitting. We have to permit to every level of government. So Mr. Kubel is one part of the Loch Lord team that helps me to speak to the state government, the many federal agencies that we have to interact with. So I thank Mr. Kubel for his assistance. I also have Mr. Curtis Schlicht from Environmental Resource Management. They are our environmental consultants, and they're helping us with what we have to do to permit this property for a safe and effective use of that property to build this terminal. Again, I thank the council for having me. I met initially, I want to say it was March the 5th in the Bell Chase offices. Mr. Sanders set up a meeting with the council and the parish president and many of the officers there. So I've been fortunate enough to interact with the council. I was here for the September meeting, and we've been doing a number of outreaches to the community, including 2 open houses. I thank Councilman Griffin for arranging a meeting with one of our local neighbors, the African Judea Baptist Church of Bohemia. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. And also I'd like to thank Mr. Griffin again for introducing us to the Nunez Community College so we can create that technical and vocational curricula to train the people to work, our neighbors, at this facility. So if we may, we would like to permit and construct a LNG facility at mile marker 46 on the east bank here, maybe some 7 miles south of us. We will interconnect to the natural gas pipeline systems that are coming across the river today. The one we intend to interconnect with is 1.9 miles to the north. We will use the 200-acre site to put liquefaction trains on that will make approximately 2 million tons per annum of LNG as an environmentally as a fuel for lower emissions in domestic use and also for power generation, both in our country and abroad. And let's go on to the next slide, please. Our permitting process is, again, it's with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. A little update of where we stand, but we have to, again, permit on many different levels of government. And we're glad to have this opportunity to help to permit here. We have filed for our pre-filing. We are now pre-filing with the federal government. We are intending in January to submit our formal application with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We hope that we will get our permit from all of the entities, including yours, including the state, including the federal, in 2016, and we hope to commence our operations in 2018. Next slide, please. I offer really just some pictures of the property. The box yellow is our site. The dashed line is the pipeline interconnect. The next slide, please. We are at the very end of the levee system. You can see us in the dashed green line. We have a couple neighbors to the south, and then we have the congregation there to the north at the African Judea Baptist Church in Bohemia to our north. We're looking to provide job creation in the community, build this $1 billion energy infrastructure, and serve the community and these markets. This is an overlay of our terminal. Our terminal design will have a one ship dock there. That ship dock will also serve bunker barges, small transport vessels to bring low-emission fuels to the north.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes, sir.
I'm not to cut you off, but Mr. Jim Lindsay went over this same presentation.
Yes.
And we are well aware, and we have the same presentation. But
So-
I'm not trying to cut you off or shut you down, but we are well aware, and this is just the public comments.
Yeah.
And we all know you are supportive of this.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you could add, or just...
I would just probably at this time just offer any questions, and if I could speak to any questions you have to help you, that might be my best use of time.
I will ask the table. Wait. Okay. Wait, we got it. Hold on. Okay. Any questions? Mr. Marinovich.
I just want to mention that I don't remember if I'd abstained or actually voted against it last time because I had an issue with the fact that it didn't go before the zoning board first. But I'm not opposed to this at all, and I would like to mention it did go before the zoning board with a unanimous approval on it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Any other questions?
My name is John Bartholomew, 15425 Highway 15, Braithwaite, Louisiana. I'm a property owner at this location. I'm south of the African Church. We own property right south of that, along the Highway 15. I haven't received any information concerning this development. I knew it was going on. I even called the permit department to ask them about the permitting and what's really involved in the process. Will it have any hazardous impact? Could it have hazardous impact to the community in the area? Could it create an area of concern in reference to if something do happen, what we have to, where we going to go, where we have to evacuate or what? The whole scope of the process, I would like to know, and no one could ever give me that information. But finally, the federal government sent me a brochure on this company, which they applied through federal government. And they gave me some information, and I'm in the process of finishing it up and sending it to them to get some feedback from them about the company and what their intentions are, in retrospect to the safety of the people in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. John. Actually, I was like you. I'm kind of getting some last-minute details, but we had a really in-depth packet in here of information on the plan itself. This is kind of small, but if you want to get any documents, if you want to contact my office, I'll be glad to send anything out to you. It's a very, very thick packet, and it asks anything you can think of. Okay.
It was just puzzling to me that the permit department didn't have anything. You know,
I didn't have anything last week either. So
public notice went out about this coming in, the meetings, and everything. You know, didn't. No, but I'm talking about they coming in. Somebody
just
should know something about the company, regardless.
But it's really in depth, and if you want to take a look at it, give me a call, and I'll set everything forward to you. Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
Mr. Mitchell.
In response to that, I did notify all the surrounding property owners in which your name did not come up because it was the adjacent property owners. That's the ones that we have to notify, which is the ones to the lower end and to the upper end and across the street, which was Mr. Lawrence Tabaney and also Bethlehem Judea Church.
Well, I'm before Bethlehem.
Well, that didn't come up for you. Not before. You're before Bethlehem.
Well,
Bethlehem is the adjacent property owner.
What Bethlehem is, to get to their property, got to come through, pass by me.
It didn't show that.
I'm telling you, I'm just saying it.
And I also have listed it in 3 publications in the Gazette as well. And they also did public hearings. Well,
I'm sorry.
I can't.
Time Picayune, yes.
I can't justify you not buying the Gazette, but it was noted.
But did you put it in Time Picayune?
It doesn't have to. It has to go to our local publications.
Wait.
And I followed the law.
Have to. We have more access to that than I do have of the Gazette.
Well, we have to publish it in our local
Thank you.
journal.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, Warren Lawrence again. I just want to comment, I think it's probably going to be a good project. And the only thing I'd look at is what happened to Myrtle Grove with the tank farm. If it's such a good product, don't be afraid to have a public meeting on it. to have comments made on it. And with a public meeting, I mean public notice sent out, and not just a select few go to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? All right, go to. No one else would like to speak on this matter? The public meeting is now closed. Right? Public hearing. Move to.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, let me just say this.
Okay.
In reference to Mr. Bartholomew's comments, there was 2 public meetings held on the East Bank in reference to this project. One was held at the Reverend Percy Murphy Griffin Community Center, and one was held at Bethlehem Baptist Church. There was also notice in the Gazette paper letting people know that these public meetings was going to take place, time and location, and he said that nobody has given him any information. Well, he has never called my office requesting any information in reference to this LNG project. So if you don't call my office, then, you can't get it.
Okay.
Because I don't know you need it.
Okay. All right. What is it, PV?
6A, or
6. We'll move to 6A4. Ms. Barbara?
An ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is paraphrased thereto, with reference to application number ZMP 2014-109, dated August 15, 2014.
You are for Mr. Griffin? Yes, sir. I'll ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Mr. Griffin, we all ready to go? It's just a...
Yes, sir. We're going to offer it after it was read, but one comment, the zoning board did approve it, and like I said, there was no objection from the community on overall. Everybody that attended that meeting, especially at the Bethlehem Baptist Church, was in agreement with what was going on, based upon the fact that this company is going to be looking at hiring local people first. They're going to set up a training program at Nunez Community College to train the people who really want to work there and do the things that they're requiring them to do. At the public meeting that we had at the Reverend Griffin Community Center, there was no objection and no comment. People that did attend that meeting were supportive of the project. So at this time, I offer this project for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Amitra, everything's in line to go? No
Yes,
objection?
sir. No objection.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Turner?
Would you come to the podium? No, I'm sorry. I was calling the gentleman in the red shirt.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Bartholomew, what's your major concern with this project? Do you have a major concern? Is there any reason why I should vote no or otherwise? Because I was looking at it and I was inclined to vote for it based on the feedback that I've heard from the other gentlemen, several gentlemen who spoke before. I do think it's a good project. What's your concern?
The only concern I have would be what happens if there's any impact or negative impact could come from this company. That something could happen because of negative impact on the community. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. But I didn't know the scope of it.
Okay.
What's involved in the process. Just like we did with the Stoughton. It was a simple thing one time of coming in with lotion and this kind of stuff, oil and stuff, but no chemicals and nothing negative to it. But when we had the spill during the storm, we had all kind of chemicals that were released that created a problem to the environment. You see what I'm saying? Just want to be careful, make sure we're not exposed to anything underneath the table about it negatively. But I appreciate them coming to Plaquemines, without a doubt, if it's clean and clear, but no negative impact to the community.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. All right. Anyone else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. The machine is open on 6A4. And the ordinance is granted 8-0. All right, we're going to do the other public meeting. Oh, wait. Okay. All right, we'll revert back to 7A. Mr. Rathburn would like to make a statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to apologize to Mr. Turner. In this particular instance, he was correct. The there are two different types of suspensions of the rules here. If it makes it to the agenda, meaning more than 24 hours before the meeting, if it makes it to the agenda, you can suspend the rules without unanimous consent. You can do it with a supermajority. However, in this case, I've been advised this wasn't on the agenda. Therefore, state law does require, if it's not on the agenda, a unanimous consent in order to have it considered. So Mr. Turner is correct on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move to 7G.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would still like to ask for suspension of the rule. Maybe Mr. Turner may have a change of heart.
Okay. Huh?
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, let's move on. 7G, Ms. Barber.
Public meeting regarding the rezoning of a map and map change for WAD Lands LLC, Lloyd Lincoln, application number ZMP 2014-110, Lot 2A, St. Thomas Lane, Port Sulphur.
The public meeting is open for... I'm sorry. Can we, Mr. Turner? We're doing 7G. Can we do 7H together? That's okay with that? Okay. Wait, just a second. Just a second. Wait, have a seat a minute. we're going to read one more. Ms. Barber, can you read 7H too? We're going to do them together, right, Mr. Turner? Okay. Go ahead. Read 7H.
Public meeting regarding the rezoning of and map change for WAD Lands LLC, Lloyd Lincoln, application number ZMP-2014-111, Lot 3A, St. Thomas Lane, Port Sulphur.
All right, hold on. All right. We'll open the public meeting on 7G and 7H. Someone would like to speak? Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, my name is Lloyd Lincoln. I've been a lifelong resident of Burris, but I am the one who's trying to get the rezoning done for this property. I bought a partial property, 300 deep by 110 wide. Everything in that area is commercial, a couple thousand feet below me and also a couple thousand feet above me. What happened when I divided the land with the parish, it was overlooked and I should have rezoned at that time. But the middle lot is half commercial and half R1 residential, R1C. But anyway, I went to sell a lot. It's 70 foot wide by 100, and they said it's illegal that I have to rezone it. So it cost me another $1,200 to rezone that lot. And behind that, directly behind that, they got another 70 foot wide lot by 110, and it's own residential R1C also, which means anybody that comes and wants to put a trail there, they can't do it unless it's parish. There was a resident before. So if I was spending my $1,200, I went ahead and put that in there and trying to get it rezoned commercial too, so I could basically someone could put a trailer there if they wanted to, and not being from the parish. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. Go ahead, Byron.
Mr. Lincoln, we had spoke sometime a while back, and you had showed me some maps, and it was a little confusing to me, but it looks like three separate lots, and one lot looked like it's zoned two different ways. Am I correct?
That is correct. That's the one that they said is illegal, and I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it until I get rezoned.
Did you do that, or the zoning board?
It was overlooked in the permit department. They told me that the permit department overlooked it the first time, and they're sorry but this is the way to correct it.
Okay, in all fairness, so what you're trying to do is to correct that mistake.
Yeah, I'm trying to correct that mistake.
But also to add on, just to make sure I'm not trying to deceive anybody, you're also trying to do the next lot also. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone from the audience? All right, the public hearing is now commenced. We will move to item, what is it, Mr. Turner? What's? Okay.
Where the resolution? Mr. Chairman, I'd like to first move to 6EE, and we can do EE and EF in global.
6EE, I'm sorry, Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Okay,
EE.
and NFF?
NFF.
Ms. Barber, would you read 6EE and 6FF, and we'll take them in global?
6EE, a resolution denying the requested map change filed by Wildlands LLC Lloyd Lincoln from RC1 Single Family Residential Zoning District to C2 General Commercial Zoning District for property located on St. Thomas Lane, Lot A3, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number ZMP-2014-111, dated March 26, 2014. 6FF, a resolution denied the requested map change filed by Wildlands LLC Lloyd Lincoln from C-2/R-1C General Commercial / Single Family Residential Zoning District to C2 General Commercial Zoning District for property located on St. Thomas Lane, Lot A2, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number ZMP-2014-110, dated March 26, 2014.
Mr. Turner, you're offering?
I offer.
I'll ask for a second. I'll ask for a second. I'll ask for a second. The motion has been denied with lack of second.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to defer items 6A5 and 6A6.
Okay, Mr. Turner. Thank you. I'm not. You want to fight that? Let me move to the reconsideration with him. Hold on. We will return. Mr. Rathburn.
I'm all scrambling.
Mr. Rathburn. I apologize. All right. Do we have to return to 7A? The national reconsideration? Do we have to return to 7A?
Yeah, for him to make a motion to reconsider the... Get everybody to continue.
Huh?
After I get a second, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's going to be very...
All right. We'll move back to 7A, an introduction of resolutions where suspension is being sought. We're going to seek a... what did we say, Mr.? Motion to reconsider. Mr. Griffin, you're asking for a motion to reconsider? Is it second? Second by Mr. Hinckley. The machine is open for the motion to reconsider.
That's a motion to reconsider the suspension, right?
I'm sorry. I'm asking for a motion to suspend the rules. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Marinovich. The machine is open on the suspension.
Card to be cleared is on the post office.
Hold on. I was wrong. I said a motion to reconsider.
It should be a motion to reconsider the suspension.
Okay. Let me clarify that. Is a motion to reconsider the suspension of the rules. Okay? It was seconded by Mr. Hinckley. The machine is now open on the reconsideration of the suspension of the rules. And the rules are suspended. Yeah.
No, now you have to have right now you have to move to suspend.
Okay. Now, Mr. Griffin, you make a move to suspend the rules?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I need a second for that.
I'll
Second by Mr. Burris. Now the machine, now you got to read the resolution?
No, we're going to see if a motion to suspend the rules
First, but we don't have to read the
We already know
Okay,
the topic.
all right. The machine is open. On the suspension of the resolution. And they are suspended. So now we read it down?
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Griffin. Go ahead, Mr. Griffin.
Okay, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president to move the East Point Lahash post office from its current location to the 223 Adamar Land, Point Lahash, Louisiana 70082, and otherwise to provide respect thereto. What it is, the post office has given...
Wait, you're offering?
Okay.
Offering? Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, the post office has given us authorization to move the present post office building around the corner to Adamar Lane, which would be the east side of the Point Lahash Courthouse. Linfield Horner, who is the architect for the new courthouse project, informed me on Monday that they're scheduled to start the demolition process on the old existing courthouse building. So that's something that November the 12th would actually be the start date for the demolition process. We have to have both of those trailers, which is the post office building and the EMS trailer, out of there, that they won't delay the process to start the demolition process for the construction of the new courthouse.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Are there any questions from the table? Audience? The machine is open on the resolution.
I have a question.
Hold on, cut the machine. Come on up. I need your name and address for the record.
My address is 17083 Highway 15, Point Lahash, Louisiana.
I need your name.
My name is Keilen, Keelan Williams. The question is, since we're moving and rebuilding the post office, am I correct?
No, we're not rebuilding the post office. All we're doing is moving that present building around the corner and out of the construction site of the new courthouse. And the post office will be relocated to Adamar Land, which would be the east side of the Point Lahash firehouse.
Okay, that's it. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? The machine is now open. Leslie? Yeah, go ahead. And the resolution is granted 8-0. All right. We'll move back to item 1A, executive session. Ms. Barbara, 2 is being withdrawn. So read 1 and 2, 3.
Discussion regarding District 1 levy project, Councilmember Griffin. Attorney-client discussion regarding unpaid retirement claims, Mike Mullen, attorney.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. The machine is open on for executive session. Okay, well, and we'll move to executive session at 2:55. Out of executive session, finding no legal and binding action. We will now move to item GG. Ms. Barbara, GG.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the government complex project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Edgecombe, you offering with changes? You passing out the changes?
Actually, I should have came with both of them. I'm bringing you one, Pee-wee.
All right, Mr. Edgecombe, will you go over the changes, please?
Okay, the changes are on line 9. Scratch out appropriating, insert transferring, scratch out $48,030. Line 10, scratch out general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance legal. Line 11, insert department line item communications, data, wireless, internet service. Line 20, scratch out appropriating, insert transferring, scratch out 24,015, insert 24,020. From the general fund, unreserved, undesignated is scratched out.
This is the one you keep.
Hang on. Wrong one. Wrong one, back up.
Line,
I was
okay.
on the wrong one. I was on I.
Okay.
My bad.
On line 13, right? Is that correct, you meant to say?
Okay, we're on item GG, line 6. Line 5, scratch out appropriating, insert transferring. Line 6, scratch out general fund, unreserved, undesignated fund. Line 7, scratch out balance. Line 7 also, insert legal department, line item communication, data, wireless, internet service. Line 11, scratch out appropriating, insert transferring. Line 12, scratch out general fund, unreserved, and designated fund balance. Insert legal. Line 13, department line item communication, data, wireless, internet service. And with those changes, sir.
With those changes you'll offer, I'll
Yes,
ask
sir.
for a second. Second by Mr. Hinckley. Mr. Edgecombe.
What this is for additional design for the DA's building at the government complex. I think Mr. Charles Ballard is here if anybody has any questions on this particular matter.
Any questions from the table? Mr. Veras has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Valet, a couple of questions. First of all, can you tell us, I mean, this is very generic, additional design to the building. What's the additional design? What's the money physically going to be used for?
Okay, thanks. And appreciate y'all taking this up right now, too. The engineering with architect firm is Murray Architects. Michael Tabb is a particular person who's been working this project, and they were really hired on before me, in a sense. They've been on this whole site and the whole project area. And what it is they initially they were going to use a central chilling system that was going to be servicing several buildings there. One of the buildings that y'all are going to be refurbishing is on the stand. And they've changed all that to be standalone, or whatever the terminology is used for ACs for each building. They're going to do that instead. So a lot of it's for mechanical engineering work is going to be done. In addition, the location, the building, of course, won't move, but where it's going to connect by way of a walkway eventually, not right now, but to wherever a courthouse annex building could possibly be placed is something that requires a little change in where that's going to be. Instead of going through a back area to where the council building is, it's going to go to a front area, a different spot. So there's a few changes that they had there. They said that cost would be approximately $57,000, $58,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, and it was suggested by them and administration that put a number of $60,000 appropriated monies to make sure it's covered, and that's what it's for.
And that's strictly to do the design and the change, correct?
Design, engineering, architect, yes. And it is 2 grants, let me just say, for this building, as for many of the buildings, as you all know out there. One grant is for the interior work, and one grant is for the exterior. Hardening, I think, is a term that's used some, but basically the exterior walls, windows, and the roof. And so there's 2 grants that are pending that are sitting there to be used, and so we want to get these plans done, and we'd like to go to bid right away. And so we really would appreciate being able to move, because as many of you probably know, the trailer we're in right now is basically condemned. We're having to move out of it right now, and so my staff's actually packing and doing things at this moment. But that's going to be a temporary fix because they can't put everybody there. But that's going to be a good help for a while, but we'd like to get this building underway. So hopefully in about a year from now, we'd be in a suitable building.
That's all I have.
Any other questions from the table? Audience?
Audrey Selvant, 123 Girard Street. Mr. Ballet, in your comments a few minutes ago, you mentioned, I don't know if that was by error or what, but you were connecting your office to the courthouse. Are we talking about the government complex?
I said a courthouse annex building is what would be planned to be eventually annexed.
You didn't mention annex. You said courthouse.
I know I said annex, because that's how we always refer to it.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, so just for clarification, because I missed that part of the conversation. So this is in connection with a courthouse, or be it an annex, another courthouse, annex courthouse, right? No matter how we label the courthouse, is that correct?
No, it's incorrect.
Okay,
correct me. A courthouse is being designed right now for Point-LaHash, and we got the engineering plans almost done. They're not done yet, as I understand. I'm not involved with the engineering firm, of course. So that's what's being planned right now and being worked on. What's been tentatively planned and as a possible thing for a courthouse annex building in Bellchase, especially for the clerk of court, the assessor, the judges, and I'm trying to think who else, IDB, I think whatever, the public defender's office.
But still a courthouse, right? That's not the same thing? An annex building is a separate, what am I missing?
It's separate.
Right, but it's still a courthouse, an annex courthouse building, is that correct?
A courthouse annex, like most all places. If you'd have two buildings, even side by side, the next building would be called an annex. And I don't know if I've been in a jurisdiction anywhere where there's not an annex building.
But an annex courthouse, this is a courthouse, right?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
I
don't want to misquote you.
Courts could be held in it. So
is it an annex? Did she hear you correctly, or was it an annex courthouse? Was it courthouse?
Courthouse annex is the way but I think that's just a play with words. It could be called of whatever.
Okay.
Michael Rodriguez, 143 Reynolds Lane, Point-LaHash. Are we putting money into a building in Bellchase for court?
No.
Well, what is this for?
It's for the district attorney's office.
Well, why wouldn't the district attorney's office be here in Point-LaHash? And the clerk of courts? Well, why are we spending this money to do this now? Aren't we supposed to be starting this courthouse in November, like you said, Mr. Griffin?
That's the information I've been given by the architecture firm, that they are predicting November the 12th to start the process of the demolition. They ain't building it. I mean, it's going to be another 18, 19 months before that building is actually constructed. It's going to be another 5 months before the final design of the building and everything is actually completed. So the process of doing the demolition, which is demolishing those two wings and the annex building and the old courthouse, that, from what the architecture tell me, is going to start, because it's already going out for bid. That should start November the 12th. But that still don't make restitution for what Mr. Ballet needs right now. You know, he can't wait till 2017 to move his office. He needs to be somewhere now because of the condition the present building is in. Now, there will be some annex buildings in Bellchase. I mean, there's no question about that. You know, but the main courthouse, what they will operate at on a regular basis, is going to be Point-LaHash.
So they're still going to have some type of operation in Bellchase even after this courthouse is built?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's known for that. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, you know, we're in the 21st century, whether we like it or not. And everywhere you go, you know, there's going to be annex buildings for government to operate out of. Now, it won't be no building like we have in Point-LaHash, but it will be an office space, whether it's two offices or one office or whatever, for them to operate, you know, in an annex building.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Since there is demolition in 5 months, I was wondering if the
Plaquemines Parish Council can implement an East Bank African American local business program or implement inclusion program. An East Bank local African American business inclusion program. Since we don't have any economic development on the East Bank, it's kind of hard for our businesses to grow. There's an economic development department within the Plaquemines Parish government, but we don't see it on the East Bank. So my question is, can
I understand your concern, but we're talking about the money designated to go to the district attorney's annex building.
And would the district attorneys, and one more question, and would the district attorney donate like the the AC unit off of his old building to a small disadvantaged business since he's getting a new one? That's another question.
Okay.
And my question was, will the council implement an inclusion program for East Bank minority, meaning African American?
Okay. Again, it doesn't have nothing. I'm going to ask you to restate.
To help with
I'm going to ask you to restate your question about what are we talking specific question here about the $60,000 we're trying to appropriate to help finish the project on his building in the annex part of Belchase. Now that is the question. I'm going to ask you, do you have a question on that?
Yes.
Or a statement?
Well, my question is, can you implement a program to help East Bank African American businesses help with the construction of his new building?
Okay, I've asked you 3 times. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, the machine is open on 6M. I'm sorry, 6GG. The machine is open, 6GG. And the ordinance is granted 6-1 with a no vote from District 6. Now we will move to 6II.
An ordinance to amend the 2014 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Judges Division A Department, line item vehicles-automobiles, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
You offer, Mr. Edgecombe, with changes?
With changes.
And do you have them to pass out?
Yes, I already passed them out.
Okay. Everyone's got one? You got any down here? Okay. All right, Mr. Edgecombe, will you go over the changes, please?
Yes, sir, I will. Line 9, scratch out appropriating, insert transferring, scratch out $48,030, insert $24,020 to line item. Line 10, scratch out general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance, insert legal. Line 11, insert department line item communications, data, wireless, internet service. On line 20, scratch out appropriating, insert transferring, scratch out $24,015, insert $20,020 from the scratch out general fund. On line 21, scratch out unreserved and designated fund balance, insert legal department line item communications data. Line 22, insert wireless internet service. On line 27, scratch out $20,015, insert on line 28, $24,020 with data officer.
With those changes you're offering, Mr. Edgecombe, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Marinovich. Mr. Edgecombe?
Yes, sir. What this is to purchase one replacement vehicle that will be operated by the Judges Division A. And again, if anybody has any questions, Mr. Steve Vaughn is here to answer any of the questions if anybody has any questions at the table.
Mr. Vaughn, can you come up and give us an explanation, please?
Good evening, Steve Vaughn, Chief Bailiff, Chief Probation Officer for Division A, Judge Kevin D. Connor. The reason we're asking for the monies to purchase this particular vehicle is that we had an unfortunate, one of my officers had an accident which was untimely and unfortunate. So in short, that's the reason we're asking for the money for this particular vehicle. The judge is currently using current monies within his budget to purchase a current vehicle that has 174,000 miles and chronic mechanical problems, which I think I spoke to several council members. I know that some of the council members may have seen in the budget potential additional funds, or it may seem like it, but one thing that you guys are maybe not aware of is that we had an employee that was in the military, and she was called to active duty, and that froze about $50,000 of our budget, which we couldn't use it for anything because when they're called to active duty, that money it has to stay in the budget because that employee is due to return and has returned. And we're currently using some of that money for that as well. So if you saw that in the budget, that may explain where you saw some of those additional funds that I was asked about earlier.
Question?
I don't know that I necessarily have a question. I'm going to make a statement or two. I did take the time to review y'all's budget, and I reviewed it at length. And my analysis did not include anything that related to personal services within your budget because I know that's untouchable. In looking at the budget, in what's in your capital section and your operating section, and for those in the audience that may not know, the administration at the last meeting and again at today's meeting have several items on the agenda to purchase automobiles. They have to come to the council to actually have the money transferred within their budget because they don't operate on what is known as a bottom line budget. They operate on a line item budget. So they cannot freely move money between operating and capital. On the other hand, other elected officials such as the judges, the coroner, the district attorney are on a bottom line budget. So anything they have in operating and capital can be moved freely within their budget. Mr. Vaughn did refer to them currently doing that with the purchase of one automobile. They have already ordered one of the automobiles that they need, and it's simply going to be taken out of the bottom line of their budget. I respectfully disagree with Mr. Vaughn as it relates to the rest of his budget. Having looked at it and having run one of the departments in this government for 18 years that operates in the same fashion, it is my opinion that the judge can probably buy the second car without having any bottom line effect on his budget. So I'm struggling with this one at nauseum for the last 2 weeks. Because I look at the budget and I believe there's enough fund so that we don't have to take it out of either another parish department or out of the general fund.
And I guess, I want to echo those sentiments too. Last meeting we passed about 6 ordinances for cars that were transfer. And I also spoke with Judge Connor and I asked him if there could be a different type of car. Now, he tells me that you have to have a specific type of car because you have to cage in it for like a police car because you have to haul probation violators. Is that true? Or can it be a normal car in case we had an extra car laying around? Could we transfer a car to you?
No, sir. It has to be a police package vehicle.
It has to be a police?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could we take a car and make it into a police vehicle by just inserting a cage or something?
They come factory equipped from the factory that way, sir.
And it's the only one you can use?
Yes, sir. For our type of work.
Okay.
We can't put cages in our vehicle. No, we don't currently have cages in our vehicle, but we are considered in a law enforcement capacity as some of our job duties require us to do. We do make arrests when need to. Yes, sir. We have sheriff deputies assist us with arrests. However, that's not required, but we do have them assist us. Normally, we try to get the sheriff department to transport them because they do have the cages and everything in the vehicle. Yes, sir.
And the existing car that you had, it was damaged in a wreck?
Yes, sir. Basically, we have a current vehicle that has 174,000 miles that have chronic mechanical problems.
But you had also another vehicle that was totaled?
One vehicle was totaled, which is unexpectedly was an accident, and that's the reason why we're here right now. It's not for the vehicle that was has 174,000 miles.
Because you're down one vehicle.
Correct. We also have another vehicle we have 205,000 miles, but that particular vehicle is better mechanically wise to drive, to currently continue to drive.
And how many cars do you need?
Right now, we just need to replace the one that was involved in an accident.
Okay. Mr. Marinovich?
Steve, I think I'd asked you this a while back, and maybe you just reiterate.
Yes.
We'd probably do some insurance money from the totaled vehicle.
Yes, you did ask me that question. I spoke with the safety department. I believe his name was Mr. Larry
Ghetto.
Larry Ghetto. He advised me to contact purchasing Miss Brenda. I contacted Miss Brenda. That particular vehicle will go up for auction, and whatever they get, if it's 500, 1,000, or 20,000. There's no one's fault. It was just an accident. It was single vehicle involved, just my officer, and the road was wet. And correct. Whatever the vehicle sells at the auction will go back into the general fund.
That's my.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Having 20 years experience in law enforcement and riding police package for almost 18 of those years, you can't not use a compact vehicle to transport prisoners or inmates, as you want to say. So you have to have a certain type of vehicle with adequate space in the back seat, where even though the person is confined to criminal activities, they're still human beings, and you can't put them in the back seat like there's a bunch of sardines. So you do need a particular type of vehicle, as Mr. Vaughn is relating to the transport prisoners.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Audience? The machine is open on 6II. Aye. And the ordinance passes 7-1 with a no vote from District 5.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We will move back to item 1B, proclamations. There are none. 1C, is there a status report? Anything from the President's office? Okay, none. There are no bids and advertisements today. Move to item 3, beer and liquor license. Mr. Griffin.
I have none.
Mr. Hinckley, Dr. Gouy, Mr. Beers. I have one, a resolution, a special events liquor permit for the Belle Chase Volunteer Fire Department for the car show scheduled November 2nd, 2012, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., located at 8018 Highway 23, Belle Chase.
This is going to be in 2014, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Mr. Turner?
I have none.
Mr. Edgecombe? Mr. Miranda? I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Any questions? The machine is open on this liquor license. And it is granted 8-0. We will move to item 4, building permits. Mr. Edgecombe, you want me to take out 4A1? All right, Mr. Turner, you good with it?
I'm good.
All right. Please take out 4A1. We'll move to 4A2, Swift Energy Operating LLC, Lake Washington Field, install 6-inch flow lines. 4A3, Ardman and Associates Incorporated, 434 East Ravenna Road, Belle Chase, drill 1 soil boring. 4A4, Texas Petroleum Investment Company, Romare Pass Field, plug and abandon the Romare Pass SWD number well. 485, Ryan Delahousie, Grand Bayou Canal, install pilings for boat dock and 40 by 40-foot platform. I'll offer 482, 483, 484, and 485 in global and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Edgecombe. Any questions on the permits? Audience? The machine is open on the permits. And they are granted 8-0. I removed the 4A1, Dan DeBlanc, 193 Hoist Road, Venice, install pilings for hoist and boathouse. I'll offer an X for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Mr. Edgecombe will be present, not voting. Any questions on the permit? The machine is open on 4A1. And the permit is granted 7-0. We will move to item 5, introductions of ordinance on resolutions. Mr. Griffin? None. Mr. Hinckley?
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the Woodland Highway Bridge Road Expansion Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the Bridge Tunnel Replacement Bell Chase Study Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the Emergency Generator Government Complex Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto. A resolution conditionally approving a plan of re-subdivision of portion of Tract 3D1 of Bell Chase Plantation as shown on the Parks of Plaquemines Phase 2, being a re-subdivision of a part of Section B, Bell Chase Plantation, Bell Chase, Louisiana, by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated July 31, 2014, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley. Pass over Dr. Gui. Mr. Burris?
Yes, sir. I have 2, an ordinance establishing the Plaquemines Parish Adjudicated Properties Program, its procedures for related matters, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and a resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish President William Billy Nungesser to execute supplemental agreement number 2 to the existing cooperative endeavor agreement dated February 17, 2014, authorized by resolution number 13-361 adopted on November 14, 2013, for right-of-way acquisition for Peters Road Bridge and Extension Phase 2, State Project Number H008068, to provide for a time extension of 12 months without any increase to the total cost of the CEA and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Burris. I have a few. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the upgrade Bell Chase Water Treatment Plant Project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2014 manpower, table, and criminal court fund personal service line items and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to reject the bid of the Oil Land Services Incorporated for mineral lease purposes on Parish Tract Number 14-2, covering parish-owned property located in all of Section 49 and a portion of Section 35, Township 20 South, Range 29 East, Bastien Bay Field, Burris Levy District, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, estimated to contain approximately 239 acres, more or less, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to accept the bid of an Oil Land Services Incorporated for mineral lease purposes on Parish Tract 14-2, covering parish-owned property located in all of Section 49 and portion of Section 35, Township 20 South, Range 29 East, Bastien Bay Field, Burris Levy District, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, estimated to contain approximately 269 acres, more or less, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to cancel the December 25th, 2014 regularly scheduled council meeting due to Christmas holidays, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the General Fund 2014 operating expenditure budget, Flood Control Department, line item equipment, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the General Fund 2014 operating expenditure budget for settlement of retirement claim and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2014 Solid Waste Fund operating expenditure budget, Solid Waste Disposal District 1 Department, line item vehicle, light trucks, and van, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the Road Maintenance Fund 2014 operating expenditure budget, public right-of-ways, maintenance department, line item tractors and mowers, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Dr. Gouy, are you ready, or?
I have none.
Okay. Have none. Mr. Turner?
I have none.
None. Mr. Edgecombe? Okay.
A resolution approving the lowest responsive bid and authorizing award of the contract for the construction of the REACH B2 Vegetative Bridge and Marsh Creation Project. An ordinance authorizing the initiation of construction administration services for REACH B2 Vegetative Ridge and Marsh Creation Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Is that it? Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. Mr. Marinovich?
Yes, sir, I have three. A resolution stating Plaquemines Parish Council's endorsement of NOLA All Terminal LLC to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Enterprise Zone Program. An ordinance to amend and amend it to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is paragraph thereto with reference to application number ZMP 2014-110, dated March 26, 2014. An ordinance to amend and as amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is paragraph thereto with reference to application number ZMP 2014-111, dated March 26, 2014. That's all, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Marinovich. We'll move to item 6, ordinance and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6A1. Mr. Griffin, we moving?
Defer.
6A1 is deferred. 6A2. We're moving on that, Ms. Barber.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of John C. Johnson, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on map of division S-1-C-3, Julius Foster Division, Naomi, Louisiana, by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated August 19, 2014. The owners having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
You offer, Mr. Beers?
Offer and ask for a second, please, sir.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this is a re-subdivision of a large tract of land. Mr. Johnson owns. All of the departments have signed off. So with that, I would offer.
Offer, and it's been second. Any questions? Oh, hold on, Byron.
No objections from anyone, did you?
There's no objections that I'm aware of. There's nothing attached to the packet.
Mr. Mitra, there's no objections. That was in the packet. Everything was good. Okay. And audience? Machine is open on 6A2. And the ordinance is granted 8-0. Move to 6A3. Let's go.
An ordinance declaring certain property belonging to Plaquemines Parish as surplus property and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
You offer, Dr. Gouy?
I offer. Ask for a second.
Second by Mr. Beers. Go ahead, Dr. Gouy.
Yes. I sent this diagram and the explanation of this issue, this ordinance, earlier. Where the Belchase Firehouse is located, for some reason, there's a piece of property that is 50 by 43 on one side and 50 by 34 on the other side. That is landlocked. The firehouse, the fire department doesn't want it. It's right next to Highway Foods. I consider surplus property. We should unload it and get rid of it. We have an appraisal. If anyone would like to see the appraisal is for $4,000, and the legal department will proceed accordingly if we approve this piece of property as surplus. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions from the table? Mr. Turner?
So are we going to put this property up for sale? Are we going to auction it off? What's the plan?
We're going to follow the appropriate procedure through the legal department.
And you saying we've got an appraisal on the land for $4,000, and this
Yes.
is
I'll distribute that now if you like.
Yes, sir. And this is in Belchase, right?
Belchase Fire Department, a fire station. The map that I sent earlier this week, I gave an explanation. It is a piece of property behind one house on Fort Jackson, and it's adjacent to the property on Highway Foods. It's a 50 by 40 some odd feet lot that is of no use to anyone. We went through the fire department personnel to make sure that nothing was done in the way of improving that property when the firehouse was built, the new firehouse was built. We went through the plans to show that none of the cooling system, the geothermal cooling system was on that property. It was used during construction simply to throw some pallets and for storage, and they have no use for it, and I hope that we can unload this as surplus and allow the appropriate steps to be taken to see if anybody would want to purchase it.
Is this property juxtaposed to the
Nancy's Food Store, yes.
to the current firehouse
No,
property,
sir,
or
it's
is it
adjacent to Highway Foods.
What Nancy's Food
On the
Store.
Nancy, I'm sorry, Nancy's,
You're
yeah,
saying Old Highway
Nancy's
Foods,
Foods,
but
the old Highway Food.
There's a Nancy's Food Store in the corner.
so this is isolated? It's not anywhere near the firehouse. It's a separate piece. It's not in connection with it.
It's adjacent to
I didn't see
Nancy's
that.
Food. The firehouse is on the other side of the property, completely on the other side, and the fire department personnel have no use for the property.
Dr. Bowie?
Yes.
Kurt?
Go ahead, Byron.
I just had a quick question. I'm looking at your map, Dr. Goey, and I see the little red square. Who owns that property directly in front? Is that parish for fire department property?
Okay. Part of 2, part of 3, 3 and 4, that is the property that is adjacent to Highway 23, and it's on the opposite end of where the fire station is constructed. This is on the north end of the property. The fire station would be on the south end where it says New Orleans Street.
I'm looking at this
No,
the
he's
photograph.
looking at the
I'm just curious who the front piece belongs to.
Like
It's
this
not
one.
ours, is it?
Not the appraiser. It's the little red square.
That is the parish property. You cannot build on that property because they've got thermal poles down there. So there will be nothing that's going to be built on that
So it's
property.
dead property then.
That's
I understand.
correct.
I'm good.
Thank you, Leo.
This is parish property, the firehouse. This is
This
has
the
to remain
firehouse.
empty. Yeah. Next to it has to remain empty because I was still some kind of thermal.
Geothermal, that's
Yeah,
where they're doing
geothermal.
all the...
And this is behind. It's like
That's
50
right.
feet.
That's what I said.
Are we good, Byron?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Turner?
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? The machine is open on 6A3. And the ordinance is approved 7-1 with a no vote from District 6.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, 6-3. All right. We did 4, okay. 5 and 4 was done. 5 and 6 were deferred. 7 and 8 will be 5 and 6 are deferred.
Wait, I'm sorry, Kurt. I didn't catch it. They were talking. Which
5 and 6 are deferred. 7 and 8 will be deferred. Ms. Cooper's request.
B and C will be withdrawn.
B and C are withdrawn.
Slow down 1 second, and Mr. Lapine will catch up to you.
B and C, Kurt.
Wait, hold on. What's that, Mr. Turner?
Let me just get these numbers.
Okay.
6 and 8 defer. What's B?
I wasn't blaming on you.
B and C are withdrawn. And D is deferred.
D?
D.
Thank you.
Okay.
D is in Byron.
E is is deferred. Wait, I'm sorry. D is deferred.
E.
D for deferred. E is deferred. F is deferred. Deferred. G, Mr. Griffin, we're moving on G?
I'm going to defer it. Yeah, I need to get a better understanding.
G is deferred. H is deferred. Okay.
Deferred.
He deferred it.
Be quiet. Deferred. Deferred.
Okay. All right. H, you said, Mr. Dr. Gui was deferred? H is deferred.
Be nice.
Okay.
Don't take mine.
I will be deferred.
Do it.
No, number me.
You don't want the one I got.
J, that is deferred. Do we have anyone from the sheriff's office? Nope. J is deferred. K is deferred. L is deferred.
I'm loving this.
M withdrawn.
M is withdrawn.
N deferred.
N deferred. O. We're going to move on O? Move on O. Let's go. Ms. Barbara?
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the drainage improvements, Industry Canal Project, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
You offering, Dr. Gui?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hinckley. Dr. Gui?
Earlier this week, I sent an explanation as to the scope of this project. The drainage for Belchase involves several projects, and what we've looked at as a priority of how to move on those projects. Earlier this year, we completed one portion, which was the Main Street to East 3rd at subdivision, into the Springwood Canal and into Industry Canal. Industry Canal drains districts 2, 3, and 4 under Woodland Highway into Barrier Road. We were not able to procure enough funding to do the entire project. However, the portion of Industry Canal that is from Woodland to Barrier is severely in distress, with homeowners along that canal having to deal with their backs of their property sloughing into the canal. The appropriations here to correct the problem are only for that portion of Industry Canal, from Woodland Highway to Barrier Road, which is the most severely impacted. The appropriations, we met with the administration, we met with the engineers that are doing the Belchase Drainage Project, some of the council members in the Belchase area, and with money that was remaining with the Main Street Avenue G project, we were able to come up with $900,000. We were made aware by the parish administration that for the remainder of the year they would not need any further appropriations for road maintenance parish-wide, that starting January 1, the new budget would have the money they need there. And then the upgrade crossing, railroad crossing, is surplus money also. These projects were in an ordinance that was proposed and subsequently withdrawn earlier meeting or two ago. So when we worked with the administration on this, we wanted to make sure that the funding that was there was funding that was not going to be used. And this is what we put together. The total cost is $1.5 million. It's for stabilization of that drainage canal, and that basically runs through District 2. And Mr. Hinckley has been dealing with the neighbors, rightfully so, in the fact that the drainage system was actually taking their property. If there's anything further on that, Mr. Hinckley, you were dealing firsthand. I'll open it up for questions. Sorry to be so long-winded.
Thank you, Dr. Gooey. Any questions from the table? Mr. Turner?
Is this an existing project or is it a new project?
The Belchase drainage project consists of smaller projects. If you recall, there's this east-west, north-south canal, there's industry canal. This is part of the scope of the entire Belchase drainage project. We were hoping to do it as part of the Main Street Avenue G because that's where most of the drainage, most of the area that's being drained. The funding was not adequate to do this part of the canal, so we are taking the road maintenance funds and the excess of railroad crossing to put into this project. We did rename the project to Industry Canal because that's exactly what we're dealing with, just Industry Canal. So what engineering did was take and name this project the Industry Canal Project. It's not the entire Industry Canal project because we don't have adequate funding. We're only doing the Industry Canal part that is the most damaged. So is there a project name? Yes, it's Industry Canal Project. The name was not specifically Industry Canal Project prior to this. There wasn't a name project, a name capital improvement project as such. And I don't know if that answers the question or not. But.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, but Industry Canal was several projects that made up drainage projects in Belchase.
Yes, sir.
And so now we're creating a new project that's just Industry Canal because you're still maintaining the other project. Or does one go away? If the other one doesn't go away, then this is a new project.
It is a new name.
New name for all of the projects, or the other projects going away?
For Industry Canal. And I wish engineering was here. They give you some of the other specifics. But the Belchase drainage encompasses all of Belchase using, Barrier Canal, North-South Canal, the canal along Woodland Highway, Springwood Canal. Thank you.
All your undeveloped land along Engineers Road. Basically, from your second bridge on Woodland Highway, drains all the way towards this industry canal that we're talking about. All that vacant land, all of Main Street drains into that. All goes to Barrier Road.
And this is part of the project that's ongoing right now. That is from Main Street.
Correct.
That's the new canal, the new drainage ditch that's being dug or was dug through the Entergy property that ties into Industry Canal at Kenneth that continues all the way through Springwood by the Woodland Bridge at the
first bridge.
The church.
Yes, the first bridge on Woodland.
The first bridge. But from that bridge to Barrier, it's got substantial, major sloughage.
Because when you have a good rain, the force of water, it's so deep, it just.
So if I may, and I think Mr. Turner's question is well taken. Yes, we broke down to call Industry Canal a new project, but it was part of the overall project. We did that so engineering we're going to add a capital improvements, unfunded capital improvements project for next year for the remainder of industry, but we have no funding. But we want it because it's also part of that main drainage coming through.
Correct.
It's not as damaged. It needs bank stabilization, but we think it can make it for a while. This other part is in distress, but we did put a name on it, but it was part of the overall Belchase drainage.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you. Another question on it is the projects that we're removing the funding from, the drainage improvement. All of those other projects going away, you mentioned that some of them were
Okay.
from a previous legislation, which leads me to believe that some of those projects were complete, but were all of them, so I would assume all of them will be going away? Because if not, then we're going to be faced with it.
Yes.
So all of them are going away.
It's excess funding on the first one, remaining funds.
So that one is going away?
Going away.
Okay.
The third one is going away.
Okay.
In January 1, funding will be appropriated for road maintenance parish-wide through the budget process, within the next month.
I understand.
Good?
I'm good.
Any more questions from the table? Audience?
Benny Roussel, 1012 Epsilon Street. Has the project been engineered, and if so, what is it going to be box culverted, or is it going to be
It's bank stabilization, the bags that have been used for coastal erosion. I can't tell you the name of the bag, but it's a bag that allows, it's a
I'm not sure.
It's not like a concrete bag, Benny, but they're bags. I know that there was some stuff used to stabilize White Ditch, maybe in Oak River. Very long-lasting type bag.
So we've used this?
It's natural. It's a natural bank stabilization. It's
this
not
is a technique that we've used in the parish in the past?
Yes,
And
other.
You don't know which we could go look at?
Yeah, where would it be?
Out on the levee, back behind Anthony's, and they used it.
Okay. Yeah,
Bayou St. John, they just did a project out, this is in New Orleans.
No, I mean in the parish.
Now, there's projects in the parish.
I have to get that, though, from engineering. But the
Thank
answer
you.
is yes.
Anyone else? The machine is open on 6-0. And the ordinance is granted 7-0. 6P was withdrawn. 6Q. Ms. Barber?
A resolution establishing dates, times, and places of public hearings on the proposed 2015 operating budget and on the proposed capital improvements budget covering a period of at least 5 years as submitted by the parish president, to authorize the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette pursuant to Section 7.02A and Section 7.05C of the Charter for Local Self-Government, Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. I'll offer and ask for a second.
I'll second, Kurt.
Second by Mr. Burris. This is to establish the times and the dates for the public hearing for the budget. And for the audience, the date is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014 at 9 a.m., Belle Chase Public Library, 8442 Highway 23. And that said, budget hearing shall continue therefore after until the budget hearings are canceled or concluded on Thursday, December 4th, 2014. We try to entertain any questions from anyone from the audience? The machine is open on 6Q. And the resolution is granted 8-0. We'll move to 6R.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the rerouting sewer lift station number 7, Forest Main Project, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Mr. Burris, can you give us any explanation on this, or what's this about?
I believe this came from engineering. It didn't come from my office. My understanding is that there was a $4,000 overrun on this project, and it's to go ahead and close out what's due to contractor. But this wasn't introduced by me.
Okay, you don't know where this came, because we just had this big project here, and I'm trying to figure out what this extra money is for.
I spoke to ST about it, and the only thing they informed me was that there were some cost overruns, and so the $4,000 is necessary.
Before I get any more information, I'm going to defer this.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, until I get some more accurate information. We'll move to 6S.
A resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish government to settle the matter entitled Deborah Barrios v. Plaquemines Parish Government, 25th JDC Case Number 60-610, Division A, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer next for a second. Second by Dr. Gui. Mr. Palazzo, can you help us with this?
This is a lawsuit that was filed against the parish from one of our employees running into Mrs. Barrios' vehicle. Mrs. Barrios sustained injuries as a result of this incident. We were 100% at fault, and we negotiated what I consider a very reasonable settlement.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Palazzo. Any questions from the table? Mr. Turner?
And what was the settlement amount?
It's in the resolution and the ordinance, $20,000.
For the audience, it's $20,000. It's in the next one, right?
It's in both. It's in both, Mr. Turner.
Yeah, I was going to say it when we got there.
Thank you. I know Mr. Guy usually asks that question.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Audience? The machine is open on 6S. I'm getting ready to say R. No. And the vote is 7-0. 7-1. Oh, excuse me. 7-1 with a no vote from District 5. We will move to item 6T.
An ordinance to amend the General Fund 2014 Operating Expenditure Budget, Legal Judgments Department, line items judgment and damages, Deborah Barrios, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'm going to offer with changes. The changes are, I'm passing them out. On line 7. On line 7, after, from the blank, we'll fill in the blank. I'm sorry, it's on line 8 here. It continues. The legal department, line items, consultant and engineering. On line 13, legal department, line items, consultant, engineering. And we'll have to add a line 18. Right, we're adding the line 18, right? Because we don't have the line 18. We're adding line 18, where it would say Fund 001, General Fund, Department Division 430-2180, Legal Service General, and on line 20, Object, Description, Increase and Decrease and Amendment, and on line 21, 534.310, Consultants, Engineering, decrease 20,000. So with those changes, I'll offer next for a second. Second by Mr. Ravinovich. Mr. Palazzo, this is just judgment money and where it's coming from?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Any questions from the table? Audience? The machine is open on 6T. And the ordinance is granted 7-1 with a no vote from District 5. We'll move to 4U.
An ordinance to amend the Public Health Fund 2014 Operating Expenditure Budget, Health Department, line item vehicles-automobiles, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer next for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Mr. Costa, this is transferred in their department for another vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yes. What you need, Byron? No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. This vehicle has 155,000 miles. This is for our, to replace the vehicle. It breaks down a lot. This is for our sanitarians, our inspectors. It goes parish-wide constantly, and we're having a lot of trouble with it, so we need to replace it.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Any questions? Audience? Machine is open on 4U. 6U.
Look what I got. I don't know what's on item 6. We're on the item 6.
No. Attorney? Did you vote? And the ordinance is approved 8-0. Four V is deferred.
If we could move forward on
6V.
Oh.
Of course, my secretary writes it as 4V. I have 4W too. I mean, look.
6B.
4V was deferred.
No, I was asking if, I just wanted to make sure we moved forward on 6W.
We'll see what Mom says? Okay. Okay, 6V and 4V will be deferred. 6W. Go ahead, Ms. Barbara.
An ordinance to amend the 2014 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating expenditure budget, Waterworks and Sewage General and Billing Departments, various line items, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Who's ready?
Yes, this is the same thing we did at the last council meeting, except this is for the Waterworks Department. I don't have the information on the vehicles with me at this council meeting. However, at the last meeting, I did submit to you all pretty detailed explanations of what was being requested and why. So hopefully you had an opportunity to look at that.
Okay. Any questions from the table?
What, do we know if it was due to maintenance, or do we know the reason, or is it just that time of year?
It came from Ms. Bartholomew. One issue is these are our water meters, and so they incur significant amounts of miles. And Ms. Bartholomew needed a truck because she needs to go out and do inspections, and I feel like that's necessary.
Ready. What kind of vehicle is it?
These are the smallest trucks, the 15,000. Okay, one is for the supervisor, one is for the meter reader. One truck has 140,000 miles on it, and the other truck has 274,000 miles on it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the audience? The machine is open on 6W.
Oh, sorry.
And the ordinance is approved 8-0. Move to 6X.
An ordinance to amend the 2014 General Fund operating expenditure budget, Drainage Department, various line items, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. This is Mr. Watt.
Yes, sir. Same thing. Vehicles, it's a pickup truck. We just replaced the one that's in, I forgot the year, but it's parish-wide usage. And
okay. Thank you, sir.
You need all the information on it, for the mileage and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me just say this. On all of these vehicles, just because they have 150,000 miles or 175, even 200,000, if we're not having problems with them,
no, sir, we don't. We don't
shouldn't be replacing them just because
we don't swap them out just because of the mileage or as long as it's dependable and reliable, we run it.
Okay.
And that's
not
fine,
only that,
but if
but
it's
I
breaking
also
down or we having mechanical issues, yeah.
But no, but again, it's the age of the vehicle, the vehicle. Again, on my departments, I have my departments every month, first of the month, send a report of the mileage, and the last time their oil was changed, the maintenance on it. So again, I can give y'all my maintenance records of all my vehicles in my departments.
I'm good.
To show you the maintenance is being kept on them and that we are maintaining them to the best of our abilities.
Okay.
And yeah, we don't change much just because of the mileage or the year.
And the paperwork I submitted last week shows the same.
Now, all the vehicles that we're replacing, they go out for auction, and we recuperate some money?
Yes, sir. 95% of the vehicles do. Like, for instance, we just purchased a vehicle for our Empire Shipyard. The Venice Boat Harbor, it was in need for a vehicle for the guard. The guard was just using a easy-go cart for the night because there's no guard shack at the bottom. So they've been asking for a vehicle just so that the guy could, the guard have something to stay in and doesn't have to go up 2 sets of flights of stairs to check somebody in and out. So the vehicle, we got the worst vehicle in all my departments, and we're going to transfer that one to Venice Boat Harbor just so that he has.
So we'll put it back into use?
That one, yeah, but
Okay.
the other ones will go to.
Right, okay, very good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Right.
Audience? The machine is open on 6X. And the ordinance is granted. It's 8-0. We'll move to 6Y.
An ordinance to amend the 2014 Road Maintenance Fund, Public Right-of-Way, Maintenance Department, various line items and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Burris.
With this, we're, the way that we divided our department up a little bit, we needed an extra vehicle because we're moving people around in different locations, and we don't have enough transportation to get them from point A to point B. We have a gentleman on the East Bank levee that does all the mile markers with a weed eater. Now we have one on the East Bank that does all the mile marker meters so that our tractors doesn't knock the mile markers down and save some time with the bush hog tractor cutters. So again, that's 2 more vehicles that we had to put in a fleet so that way they have transportation to there and back. So again, it's just that one there is adding to the fleet because of rezoning the workman flow.
When we approve all these vehicles that we have been approving, how long does it take to get a vehicle?
Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't get it? Okay.
No, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the table? Audience? Machine is open on 6Y. And the ordinance is granted 8-0. We'll move to 6Z.
An ordinance to amend the 2014 General Fund and Firefighting Fund operating revenue budget, line items, sales and use tax audits, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer next for a second. Second by Mr. Burris. Legal, this is just money we recouping from tax audits. Is this correct?
That's from sales tax audits. That's correct.
Okay. For the public's knowledge, we are collecting $2,865,592.84, of which will go in the general fund $1,432,700, and the other will go in the firefighting fund $1,432,700. So it's split evenly between the 2 funds. That's correct.
That's correct.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Turner?
I'm assuming that there's legislation that dictates, how that money is divvied up. Is that correct? And is it
That's correct, Mr. Turner.
the 14? Because it seems like an even split. So we have legislation that says that whatever we collect, there's an even split between the government and the fire department.
On these particular taxes.
It's the tax rate.
Whatever it is.
Thanks.
Okay.
That explains it. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Audience?
Yeah. You do it. My question is, on those general funds, can those funds be transferred anywhere else other than those 2 places you just said they were transferred to?
Nope.
Only those 2 places? Can the general funds be used for anything other than what the general fund is used for? For example, say we need economic development on the East Bank. Can $1 million go from that to the economic development department?
Yeah, hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Turner.
The sales tax, there are ordinances, we vote on different things, and so that's designated. Just so you would understand, the unreserved, undesignated we can use that for whatever this governing body decides. So just to help you understand that.
Is that the general fund, you mean?
The general fund,
Okay.
because it's labeled unreserved. It's not reserved for anything in particular. So a lot of times you will hear us pulling from the unreserved, undesignated, assigning it to different departments. So yes, we can use it for whatever we decide to use it for, the general fund, but our general fund is pretty low right now.
Merci.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
What happened to,
The machine is open on 6Z.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be present but not voting.
Present not voting. Okay, Mr. Griffin. It's excellent. And the ordinance is approved 7-0. 6AA is deferred. 6BB. Yeah, I'm sorry.
A resolution authorizing the parish president, William Nungesser, on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council, to certify to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that Plaquemines Parish government has complied with all FHWA/DOTD requirements in 2012 to 2014 relative to bridges located in Plaquemines Parish under the Plaquemines Parish government's jurisdiction.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. Anybody can give me an idea what this is?
Councilman Lapine, this is just
Huh?
this is
Go ahead.
this is just a recertification that we do on an annual basis. I talked to Ken Dugas, and he's indicated that we've all been in compliance with regards to the compliance requirements for our bridges.
Okay. This is
is
something
just
we
a-
do every year.
We do it every year. It's just an administrative matter.
Okay. Thank you. Any Byron?
I just need to make one note on here. I don't know if this is a change to the preamble, but I've got a note here from Jonah Arsenault that shows that the range should not be from 2012 to 2014. It's the annual report. So I don't know if we need to defer this or if we need to see to strike the language in the preamble. The 2012 too, it should be 2014 only, if I'm not correct, Leo?
I'm not 100% sure about that, the specific dates.
Okay, we're good? Good. Any questions from the audience?
That's fine. That's
Okay.
correct.
Oh,
That's correct, then. It's for 2014. We can,
Only.
right.
To strike the typo? Strike the typo.
we good? All right. Any questions? Machine is open on 6BB.
Do what you're voting.
And the resolution is granted 8-0. 6CC is deferred. 6DD, Mr. Turner?
I'm going to defer it.
6DD is deferred.
Yes.
EE.
I believe Mr. Marinovich introduced the same
Okay.
legislation earlier, so
All right.
we'll see how that goes.
EE and FF would I like to thank. GG was passed. Move to 6HH. Nope, that's deferred. We did II. Okay. JJ and KK are deferred at Ms. Cooper's request. LL is deferred. We'll defer 6MM. All right. Let me ask, do we have to go back to introductions, or everybody's good? Good? Before we move on? Does anyone have any introductions I have to revert back to? No? Okay. We'll move to item 7, new business. A, we've done. B, public comments regarding Hurricane Isaac. Mr. Turner? I'm sir.
Does anyone have any questions concerning Hurricane Isaac? Does anyone from administration has any updates on the grants for the Hurricane Isaac victims? Or even on the Susie Bayou, that work that's going on? Any updates on Hurricane Isaac and anything from the community on Hurricane Isaac? Yes, sir.
Even though the hurricane didn't, Isaac flood waters didn't come across the levees in Point Lahash and Phoenix, it just flooded White Ditch. My question is, does the council know that a lot of African American fishermen lost boats during Isaac because of the water rising, and now they don't have the ability and availability, and we don't get traditional funding as other races do in African American communities? So I was wondering if the council knew how the African American fishermen have been hurting since the BP oil spill and Isaac. And of course, on the West Bank, you guys have an army of illegal immigrants working on the boats for the Croatians. So the African Americans from this side that would normally fish the oysters and work as deckhands, they're not doing it because they're getting undercut by wages from illegal immigrants on the West Bank. So I'm just letting the council know that the African American fishermen the oyster fishermen on the East Bank are suffering due to Isaac.
And if I understand, so what I heard you say was that, and as an awareness, was that there were fishermen who were injured due to Hurricane Isaac, and as far as assistance, to specifically for the African American community or for fishermen in general on the East Bank due to Isaac, I haven't heard of any funding. The only thing I've heard about, was funding for housing, but nothing for the fishermen in general, and nothing for the African American community in particular.
One more thing. St. Bernard Parish was sued by the federal government, and they were charged $500,000 per day for not building affordable housing for the residents to come back to. I think we have the same problem on the East Bank.
The Isaac, I think there's a housing program for the Isaac, and that's what I was asking him about. So, a good question. Any other questions on the Hurricane Isaac? That's all I have on that one, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll move to
Mr.
7.
Chairman, before we move there, let me just kind of enlighten Mr. Williams on some things that I think going to be in the making for the African American community. On the 8th of October, I had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and meet with the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. And they appointed me as the contact person for Plaquemines Parish on what they call my big brother, keeper, community challenge program. Under that program, they're going to address the needs of what they call people of color and people of hardship. And we discussed programs that you just talked about, financial assistance for African American, housing for African American, and people that's being unattended to who lack finances to take care of their own needs. Now, thinking about around November or December, the White House staff from that group will come to Plaquemines Parish to see for themselves, hopefully, what's going on, and they're going to bring some different agencies from various organizations, Homeland Security, HUD, Education, and Labor Department. And hopefully, after all this is said and done, we'll be able to qualify for some of the federal grants that address some of the needs that you bring to us today.
So, in other words, you're saying that...
Hold on, sir. I'm going to have to cut you off because you can only speak on one time on the issue. Okay?
The issue is Hurricane Isaac, and do we have any questions on Hurricane Isaac? I haven't heard anything.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm done with that one, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to move to item 7C, update and presentation by District 6.
Don't have a presentation. I'll allow. I know Mr. Lawrence had an article in the paper, and I know Mr. Lawrence has brought before the council the issue concerning E. coli, and I'll allow Mr. Lawrence to address the council as the District 6, Myrtle Grove.
Yeah, Warren Lawrence, Myrtle Grove. I just didn't know if the councilman have received the report from the health department that was supplied to the state with the results of the testing.
I see Ms. Audrey shaking her head, telling me no, that we didn't get anything via mail. Did we miss anything? Did Mr. Costa?
In other words, I found it in my door Tuesday, and I contacted and spoke with Raymond again, and having been in touch with the Board of Health on it, the report is stating that E. coli was found in the sample. This was done on 9:30 at 2:32 in the afternoon, and the lab report came in that both the total coliform was present and the E. coli was present, but they did not give amounts on the quantity that was present per milliliter. And he said that's all we can get. So, I haven't spoke with the State Board of Health. Of course, everything I go for the State Board of Health says the parish runs the health department. So if this is satisfactory, I just wish y'all would, I asked Mr. Raymond to send each one of y'all a copy of this report.
Okay.
And I asked that y'all ask for the copy. And if you're satisfied with it, it's probably not important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Costa, on any inspections that the health department does, and there's we need a report of that when he goes out, when an inspection is done.
I'm sure he did send you a copy. We gave, if you didn't receive it, Audrey, I'll make sure that you get the copy. We did give the copy to Mr. Lawrence.
And I guess my next question, how do we move forward? What's the remedy?
We gave him all the information that we had.
But then for the audience, what's the remedy? Do we have a remedy? I mean, because the problem isn't going away. My understanding and the history of it is that it stems from the pumping that the parish does, from the cow pastures that's going out into the marshes and really flows into Wilkinson Canal. So what's the remedy? The fact that we have this problem, are we even working on a solution, or we just accept it? Mr. Lawrence, do you have any feedback?
I want to add that I did
Mr.
meet
Lawrence,
with Ms.
I'm going to ask you can only speak one time on the issue. Okay? We go through this all the time, Mr. Attorney. Can I come up and speak again? Once they have spoken for one time on the issue. Okay? We'll try to get the report to you.
Mr. Chairman, he's not asking to speak. I can ask a member. You telling me I can't ask a member of the audience?
No. One time, Mr. Turner can come up to the audience, to the podium, and speak.
Okay.
Okay. Any more comments on?
Okay. On the District 6 update, the grass cutting in the Port Sulphur area. I noticed they started in Home Place, skipped Port Sulphur. Do you plan to do anything in the Port Sulphur area?
As soon as we...
And who made that call? Was that your call, or did someone else make that call?
I was directed to where to start.
Directed. Okay, well, I can accept that. You were directed. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
That's all I have on the update.
Okay. We'll move to 7D.
Oh, wait, Mr. Chairman, no, on the update, I do want to clarify one other thing, and that is, the reconsideration for the people of District 6. When that issue came up on a reconsideration earlier during the year, this council vehemently said that I was in error on the reconsideration. And as a matter of fact, I believe that what we're doing today in paying an individual is paying that individual without council approval. Now, here's what I'm basing that on. A reconsideration was done, came back before the council. It was an item that wasn't on the agenda, and that's what the big issue was. Not that it was a reconsideration, but that it wasn't on the agenda. And today we've cleared that up, okay? But I took a beating that day. But in addition to that, the reconsideration itself, when we did the reconsideration, we voted on the reconsideration, but we never voted on the legislation. And I've waited and I've watched. We've created a track record. Since then, several times, whenever we've done a reconsideration, then we've always gone back and we actually voted on the legislation, on what was being reconsidered. Classic example today, right? We did a reconsideration of a suspension, and then we voted on the suspension. When we did a reconsideration to pay an individual, we never actually voted on it. So if that individual is being paid today, they're being paid without an appropriation, without legislation. So I'm noting it for the record. I'm stating it for the record. I'm sorry, miss. How many times? I'm not sure if I'm. Would you come to the mic? Would you come to the mic just a second?
Unless my notes are not correct, but it
I
looks
think
as
you're
if
correct,
they did
but
the suspension. They did a motion for suspension of the rules, and then they did another one to suspend the rules, and then a third one for the resolution. They did three steps.
Outstanding, and you're very correct. You're correct, and that's my point. That's my point. When I was being pounded in the previous meeting, all we voted on was the reconsideration. We never did vote on the actual legislation. That's my point. And so, just for the record, the way it was done today was correct.
I'll have to ask for a motion to, I don't have a quorum. Motion to adjourn. Second. Can't even entertain it? Okay. The meeting is closed with lack of quorum.